First Berserker Khazan. Khazan. That's how I'm saying it.
Let's go. Guys, our first game on the docket for today, the First Berserker Khazan. I am super, super excited for this game. And I just want to throw it out there real quick. I'm going to preface this by saying I think that this game is going to be something that most people are not expecting. And I think that most people are going into this thinking that this is going to be a Souls-like game. And I'm going to throw it out there and say I'm not really sure that it's going to be that.
Why do you say that? What do you think it's
Well,
going to be like?
we'll get into that into a second, but let's start it off. So, do you know anything about the First Berserker, where this kind of idea and stuff came from? It's kind of
I
interesting.
mean, a little bit, but I'll let you take it away because this is your type of game. So you're gonna be able to expand on it more so than my little knowledge of what I found.
Okay. So yeah, guys, if you guys have never heard about this game before, the First Berserker Khazan, this game is based on an old series, which was Dungeon and Fighter franchise. And this franchise is actually over 18 years old. And the game originally came out when the game came out, it was this like 2D side scroller, like a hack and slash, kind of like Golden Axe or you know, like Double Dragon. It was like a 2D side scroller hack and slash like that. But it was kind of ahead of its time because it came out in South Korea in 2005, and it featured guilds, PvP arenas, and party play, which was like a very early form of like an online co-op. So it was actually kind of ahead of its time. And I think it's really, really kind of cool because, like I said, this game came out in South Korea in 2005, and then it kind of made its way over into the West. The game actually came out on Steam in 2016 and then released consecutive seasons every year after that until 2019. And the franchise has grossed over $22 billion worldwide, making it like one of the highest grossing entertaining media products of all time, which I actually thought was kind of cool. And I do think that some people might get turned off by that knowledge because Dungeon Fighter Online has actually in recent years kind of turned into this mobile experience, which is where a lot of that revenue has come from. But I do not think that is going to hinder this game at all. So that's a little backstory on where this game came from. And now let's take a look at the gameplay. Adam, let's roll the trailer because I think it's going to be very, very sweet. Are you excited about this game at all?
It's again kind of going into my view of games and what I like. The setting of the game looks cool, but knowing what type of game it typically means, not super excited for the game itself, but like the atmosphere and the aesthetics of the game is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. So guys, if you're just listening on the Spotify right now, basically we're watching this main character. And I think the way that they're doing this is just like very, very, very cool. And you can see like the glowing red hands, and that is like a quintessential thing from the Dungeon Fighter Online series. So there are references in this trailer already of Dungeon Fighter Online. So if you're a fan of Dungeon Fighter Online, this is you're going to have those Easter eggs. But I think one of the coolest things, and again, if you're just on the Spotify, I implore you to go to YouTube and watch this trailer because I think just the art style of how this game is created is very, very cool. I think that they figured out a way to kind of merge like a Unreal Engine style new style of gameplay with like an anime, and I think that's really, really cool. I've never seen anything that looks quite like that before.
And actually, that's funny you say that because that's in my notes too. I was like, oh, the art style is really unique because it's like you said, it feels like it's Unreal Engine, but has an anime look to it. But the background and stuff doesn't. It's like you know what I mean? It's almost like it's like pasted craftily in the game where it feels like it shouldn't fit, but it does, and that's why I think it's really cool looking. So
that's a great way to put it. It's almost like they figured out a way to make like these elements in the foreground look very anime, and the elements in the background look very Unreal Engine 5 game style, and they've just found this, like, really creative way to kind of blend it all together so that it looks very natural, but it looks very unique, like nothing I've ever seen before, and I'm super excited to just play the game and see what that feels like to play a character that looks like that. It's so cool.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny that you say that because you're not the biggest anime fan, but I think the fact that it's putting into a game style you like, it's like got your interest even more because that like it is really cool. And it's funny that it's finding a way to put you into the anime world without actually being an anime TV show. So
Again, guys, I mean, if you guys are listeners of the show, I'm not the biggest anime fan. I'm really not. But it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's just like I honestly just feel like there's so many things out there. Like there's so many things that you could be into that it's hard to just be a fan of all of them. And it's not that I don't dislike anime. I just never kind of like took that leap into getting into it. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate the art style. I think the art style of anime is really, really, really cool. And to put that into a game like this, like I'm excited to just control a character that looks like that. I think it's gonna be so sweet.
now, did you see much of what's like in store for the game itself? Like, how is it gonna work in terms of like the gameplay mechanics of it? Did you see any much of that?
So a little bit about the game, a little backstory. We do have a little bit of a story here that we can kind of hang our hats on. So this has been confirmed. You are playing as General Khazan, and basically what is going to happen is that you are leading your army into battle, and you have successfully um, protected and saved what is known as the Pelos Empire. I'm sorry, I have to look at my notes because I want to make sure that I get this right. So you have successfully defended and saved the Pelos Empire by defeating the Berserk Dragon Hismar and the Dragon Legion. And the twist here is that after you do this, you are wrongfully accused of treason and exiled from the community. So for whatever reason, they think that you are kind of like behind the attack, even though you're actually the one that kind of saved them. And the whole story behind this is going to be Kazan's journey to figure out who kind of set him up and extract his revenge. And I think it's not really like a crazy story. It's one that's definitely been done before. But I do think that, it's good enough. It's good enough. I'm fine with it.
I think it's gonna be one of those games that the story may not hit home like hard, but it's one that the gameplay is gonna kind of take away and make the game fun to play. And from like the little I saw is it's now so it says it's a hardcore action RPG. Do you think it's gonna be as hard as like soul like general souls like are they gonna have different like okay easy like you can select this difficulty or do you think it's gonna be one mode like going back to the specific of like the souls like this is the difficulty you play at and if you can't beat it then get good kind of situation.
Just kind of going back to where we started. I do think people are kind of under the interpretation that this is going to be a Souls like, and as you guys know, I'm a huge Souls fan. I'm a huge Souls like fan, and I really kind of like did a little bit of a deep dive and did a little dissecting of the trailer. And specifically, I was just looking at like the the gameplay and the fighting like style that I'm seeing in the trailer, and a little bit of a dive that I did. So this is being published by Nexon. It's being developed, or yeah, published by Nexon, being developed by Neopol, I believe that's how you say it. Neopol, Neopol. We're gonna go with that.
It's like people with an N.
Yeah, it's people with an N. So if you guys know how to say that, please let us know in the comments. But an exact quote from them. I have two of them actually. And they say that number one, players can expect a hack and slash combat style.
Oh, okay. I do like that kind of style of gameplay. So this might be a little bit more. You might be reeling me in, Dave, catching me like a fish.
I'm gonna reel Adam in here because yeah, the first game that we talked about, we talked about that the original game from 2005 and the successive games from them have been hack and slash side scrollers. So I don't think they're gonna stray too far away from that. So I think traditional Souls players looking to go in there and play this game the style of playing a Souls like, or anything from the Souls franchise, I think that's not going to be the experience you're going to be getting. This game is going to focus a lot more on getting in there and just kind of button mashing a little bit. I think this is going to be a lot more of a button masher than people think. And I think that the two things that I saw in the trailer that they've adopted from Souls likes is number one, they've adopted the iframe dash, so you can see that in the gameplay when the character is dodging around and not getting hit. Um, they've definitely adopted the iframe dash from Souls likes, and they've also adopted the parry. But really, that's it. And I think that once games kind of adopt that iframe dash or that parry, they're just automatically thrown into like the Souls like genre. And I don't think that's a really like a real fair comparison because we talk about this all the time. You when you played Souls likes, you're kind of your style is, get in, get your hits, get out. Get in, get your hits, get out. And this is going to be much more focused on like a Spider-Man or maybe like an Arkham where it's very much get in there and try to string together these combos and stay super aggressive. So I think it's going to be more of a hack and slash than a Souls likes. And you can also see it in the trailer. There's that one clip in the trailer um where your character goes in and grabs the guy by the ankles and does that spin and like slams him on the ground like that takedown style. Like that is definitely something that's not there's no takedowns in a Souls like. You know what I mean?
Unless you
Yeah.
get
So I
behind them and backstab them.
there's
Some
a
games.
there's a yeah, there's a backstab. Well done, Adam. Well done. Let's go. We're teaching. We're
Yeah.
teaching.
I'm learning a
But
little
yeah,
bit about Souls like. See, I'm getting there.
yeah, there's takedowns. Um they did adopt the iframes and the parries, but I just really feel like this is going to be more of a hack and slash than a Souls like. And also, the second quote from them, they said that finishing missions and defeating bosses earns players powerful gear and abilities, which doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things. But again, with the Souls like, it's not usually mission based. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of missions in Souls likes. And when you're talking about missions, you're talking very much more about a linear based single player experience where you're just kind of going through. In Souls likes, you're usually just kind of like dropped into this world and they're just like, figure it out. Go figure it out, man. We got nothing for you. Like just start roaming around and figure it out. And I think that this is gonna be much more as soon as they start throwing in the word mission, I'm like, this is a linear based title and it's gonna be very just one path, go forward. And I think it's gonna be broken up into segments. So
It's gonna have some structure to it.
well, I do think this is going to have Souls like parts to it. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's going to be a Souls like, but I still think it's going to be a great game.
So I wonder. We kind of had this conversation last week. He's like, "Are these games like is this becoming the norm?" I wonder if like we take away the name Souls like and just change the name to hardcore RPG. Like they kind of have it in their description. I think that's kind of where these games are going. And Souls likes are from Software's games. Like those are their games. And kind of thinking about it more, it's like so these games should be classified as hardcore RPGs rather than Souls likes, unless it truly is from Software's game, specifically trying to play like a Souls like.
I mean that's what I was kind of, that's what I was kind of going at and I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's like I think just with the success of all these titles, like these RPG makers are just kind of like figuring out that a lot of the mechanics and parts of these quote unquote souls likes are just really good mechanics. They're just really good mechanics to have in the game. And it's almost like it's becoming standard in RPGs, like you just said. It's not so much a souls like, it's just like they've adopted certain elements that kind of should just be in RPGs now.
I agree. I agree. So that definitely makes more sense. Now kind of going into a little bit. So on their like Steam page, it says you can upgrade not only your character but also combines different weapons and armor abilities. So do you think that's just gonna like that's part of like, and it's to fit your play style. So I think it's gonna be one of those games like you can play as a hack and slash, or you can have that distance or that hit roll out. And I think that's probably like I like when games say like you can pick your play style because that's you can pick how you like to play, and I think that's going to be a huge element of this game specifically. Of like, you roll in, you can either play like a Souls like, or you can play the hack and slash way.
I think that's great too, because exactly like you said, it just kind of opens it up to all types of players. You know what I mean? Like you were not super excited about this game, but now that and if we're right, of course, like, again, guys, this is speculation. It's not been confirmed. It's just what I think is going to be a part of this game. But if there is more of a hack and slash element to this game, suddenly you get a little bit more excited about it. It's more something that you want to play. But again, we've seen that they've adopted things from the Souls likes. I mean, they've adopted the iframes and the parries and stuff like that. So a traditional Souls player like me can still go into this game and play it the way that I want to play the game. And I think that's really cool. I think more developers should adopt that kind of style of like giving players more freedom to just be who they want to be with the character.
Play at their play style. Yeah, I like that idea. It just makes sense to me. Like, and that's kind of what's been a big turnoff for me for Souls likes, or like or like Dark Souls and Sekiro. It's like I can only play as like this character, and I have to play this way of like smack, smack, get out of there, or parry, and then try to fight this boss 10,000 times, which I'm getting better at. But for me, that's been a turnoff for games. But now that I kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit more, like I'm turning the dial. I'm turning my dial a little bit to be a little bit more excited about these games and understanding of what they're coming from and what they'll be like.
If I had to guess on it, I would say difficulty level wise, I would say, and I don't want to sound bougie or kind of like a jerk, but I would say from a traditional Souls player, like a traditional Souls standpoint, if you're a traditional Souls player, I mean, you're a Sekiro, you're a DS3, you're a Bloodborne, player. This game is probably going to be like a step down from the difficulty level that you would be expecting. I don't think that this game is going to be like quote unquote as I don't think it's going to be as quote unquote hardcore as they say it's going to be. I think it's going to be challenging, but I don't think it's going to be frustrating. And I think that's a really good line to have. Because like if you're a Souls player, you kind of almost enjoy that frustration. You know what I mean? Where casual players don't really enjoy the frustration. They want a challenge. I mean, they don't want it to be like, I'm not even thinking about this super easy, but they don't want to spend 4 hours trying to fight one boss. So I think this is like gonna be a good mix. I think it's gonna be really, really good.
Right, and that's kind of how I like my games. Like, I like to be a challenge. Like, I don't want to beat them in one try, but if it feels like it's impossible after doing it over and over and over and over, then I start to get a little bit more frustrated. However, I will say, Dave, you'd also be proud about this in Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. There's a glitch in the game where like if you teleport at the right time, you become invisible and indestructible. Well, that happened on the very last boss. And I thought about it. I was like, okay, let me just hit him a couple times. And I was like, no, don't cheese your way. Don't cheat your way through this boss. So, and then I unteleported and then I made sure to die because like, that's cheating. So just so you know, be proud. I didn't cheese it.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you because yeah, you can cheese the boss, right? But you're cheesing the boss and you're cheating yourself because you're cheating yourself out of that experience because it's like again I watched you when you played that boss when you loaded upstream and you played that boss and I watched you go at that boss and learn that boss's move sets and figure out like the best way to beat it, and then just like the level of enjoyment that I saw when you finally beat it. Like, how good did it feel to finally beat that boss?
It felt really good, especially because like I was one hit and he was one hit and I ended up getting the last hit on him. So that actually makes it really enjoyable when like it's like crunch time, the adrenaline's pumping, like you make one false move and like you're dead. But in that case, I made the final blow.
I'm sure people are really kind of like at this point kind of sick of me being like, I'm a Souls player, but it's just like I chase that high. You know what I mean? Like that, I chase that feeling. That's why I love these games, because you get that feeling a lot when you play these games. It's like, it's so tense. You're like the endorphins are just flowing and you're just like, I might pass out right now. And then you're like, final death blow. And it's like, it's so exciting and it's so exhilarating. I like chase that feeling. So yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of that with this game. I think it's going to be really, really good.